Why does it sound like a little toy car? Oh, I'm gonna slam you so hard right here. Oh God, Houston.
What's up, all you sexy mofos, and welcome back to another PUBG patch update video. We're going to be talking about the most anticipated patch of the year, the Balistics overhaul, new car sounds, and of course, vaulting. So let's get this video started with the most obvious of changes, and I'm talking about the changes that were made on the map. They've now added some new trees/forest areas just around Mansion.
So it's all woods. It's all like woods and shit. Maybe they added a little hill here.
This might even change the dynamics of how people loot around that area. Not to mention the fact that if there was a final circle in Mansion or around Mansion, it would be a totally different gunfight. I think that overall it's a really good improvement or an addition to Mansion because people could see you coming from miles away, especially if you came from the north end of Mansion.
Jump. Ah! Oh, there's guys here on the left.
God damn, you bumped into that fucking car, dude.
The next thing I wanted to touch on, and the most obvious change, is the depth of the water. The water mass that divides the mainland from military base is definitely a whole lot deeper. Not to mention that they've also added a whole lot of depth to the river that divides Roscock from Severny. Now I will say this, crossing that body of water before was a lot easier, considering the depth wasn't that deep. If you had a teammate with you that went down, he could easily be revived. However, that's a whole lot different now, considering the depth is really low and you'd have to swim and maybe even give up some of your life to revive your squad mates.
You guys want to check and see how far we can go?
Most amazing thing ever. Don't die, because I can't revive you in water.
All right. Yeah.
They've also changed the depth of the river between Roscock and Severny. It makes it a whole lot harder, especially if you're in a vehicle, to cross over in one shot. Sometimes I've found that there are glitches while you're stuck in a bike. If you're turned upside down while crossing, you might be stuck and you will drown to death because there is no way off the bike. But then again, we are in early access, and like I said, this might just be a bug. Now that we got that out the way, let's talk about the meat and potatoes of the patch, guys. It's the vaulting, and I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised as to how smooth it actually works.
Time to die.
He tried to jump out the window. That's how you do it, son. It's relatively easy now, climbing over walls, barriers. You could even climb over the boxes and crates at the ruins, some of the containers on Novo's side, and even in Georgia Pole. Not to mention that you can even jump in and out of smaller windows that you couldn't initially with crouch jump. I think that overall it's a great addition to the game. The game's definitely moving in the right direction. It's going to change the dynamics of how you take firefights with people in larger cities, and maybe even people or squads that you would take on in smaller houses, and how you can approach the houses with different angles onto different windows. So it's definitely going to change the dynamic of the game, and I think that it's a big plus to have vaulting in PUBG. Now in the patch notes, they did mention that all static objects can be climbed. However, there are limits to the vaulting, guys. You can only climb objects that are 2.3 meters high. And of course, certain windows, I guess your body would have to fit through. So you're not going to fit through any windows with bars. And I'm assuming that you probably can't jump out of the really smaller windows, at least not yet. Also, lastly, I do want to mention the patch notes did say static objects. We tried scaling different types of mountains, jagged edges, even tops of buildings which had jagged edges, and apparently you can't do that as of now. But who knows, that might change in the future. Number 3, optimization. Now, in case you missed it, they did add more optimization to this patch. I'm just going to quickly read over some of the optimization features that have been added to the PC 1.0 patch, the big 1.0 patch. Now, I did notice that a lot of my friends were having a lot of memory leak or memory bottlenecking when they were playing PUBG, where certain times they would have 80 frames and then they would just drop down to 30. They've supposedly fixed that. So they've optimized terrain data to reduce memory usage now. Let's see how that works. I really haven't experienced that kind of fluctuation yet, but my friends have, so I'm just speaking on their behalf. They've also reduced the lag issues when terrain itself is loading. I'm assuming that only comes into play when you're jumping out of the plane and you're parachuting down. I experienced this before, where you would have a part of the map would just load up very slowly, while other parts would definitely load up a lot faster. They've also reduced lag issues when multiple players are in sight. right. And as far as server-side optimization, I'm assuming that they have done some kind of performance check for all the desync issues by working on the network itself.
Look at him glitching all over the place.
Although IMO, that's really something that they should be focused on more, because I did run into a few situations where I had people just teleporting all over the place, and that can be a game-breaking dynamic.
What is up with all the glitching? Why is he glitching all over the place? Look at him. Dude, fuck off. There's no way. There's no way he's pulling out a shotgun now. Oh my god, I have to heal. You're gonna fucking wreck me.
Let's just face it, if they have 400 ping and then I have only 20 or 30 ping, it's much easier for them to kill me while they're just desyncing all over the place. Number 4, let's talk about the UI and improvements to the UI. So they've added 2 new features to the UI. All you have to do is go into your settings tab, go into gameplay. Now, of course, you can still change all your crosshair colors, and you've got your equipment HUD, weapon slot HUD, but at the bottom of your mouse sensitivity, you've got something that says icon kill feed. Once you turn that on, you'll actually be able to see sort of like a Battlefield style UI kill feed on the top right corner of your screen, which makes it, I think, a lot easier to see who killed who with what type of gun. It's very quick and efficient. I really think that this type of kill feed works a lot better than the previous one. They have a variety of icons showing you if someone died to the play zone, car explosion, falling, even a sort of a crouched down human being if your buddies got knocked out. They've also added a small inventory backpack UI just to show you what the max capacity is of your backpack compared to, say, a rank 2 or a rank 3. I really didn't think that was necessary, but I guess it's a good little addition to show you the comparisons of how much a level 1 backpack can hold as opposed to a level 3 backpack. Number 5, let's talk about my favorite changes to the game: vehicles, vehicle sounds, and of course the vehicle animations.
This is the Jeep out of Ghost Recon right here. Whoa, it's not easy to control. It's not easy to control this one. Look at that. Look at the drift. They've added drift to her.
Listen, I already know what a lot of you are thinking. Like, hey, I just got used to all these different sounds, and I know what a buggy sounds like or what a motorbike sounds like when it passes by, and I have to get used to all this. Trust me, it is for the better. I really think that this is a much needed and an improved change for the better, because you actually feel like you're shifting gears when you're driving the cars now. Motorbikes sound like motorbikes, and the buggy doesn't sound like a lawnmower in your freaking head anymore. And I have to admit that the driving does seem a little bit different. I'm probably not going to get into it in this video, but if you guys want to see a guide, like a car driving guide, I'll be happy to make one, maybe make a separate video for that. Leave a like and leave it in the comments down below if you want to see a car-only guide. But let's just talk about the patch for now. And as far as how the vehicles feel, I would have to go with most of the vehicles feel really soft and easy to lose control. If you haven't learned how to use the handbrake option, it's definitely going to be harder for you to get control back of a vehicle that's slipping into a donut. So I think that the physics has made the vehicles a lot lighter for some reason. Vehicles tend to fly and tip a lot easier. They also tip back into the direction that you jump out of the car for some reason. And so I just feel like the vehicles have been overhauled. They drive different, they feel different, and they've also added a few new animations when you're driving in first person. The other addition to vehicles and the change that they've made is to the UAZ. You can no longer have 5 passengers, but instead you'll only have the 4. Oh, and before I forget, I do want to mention that some cars do go a little bit faster than what they used to. Case in point, the buggy. But when it comes to the buggy, there's also some kind of a crazy bug where when it spawns in, it just randomly moves in a direction.
Fucking demon-possessed buggy. Demons! I exercise you in the name of the Lord, Jesus Christ! I compel you! It worked! It worked! Oh, Christian channel! Christian channel! We're just gonna blow out the tires, just to be safe. Ah! Shit! Burn! Child of Satan! Ah! Shit! I'm exercising my demons, motherfucker.
It's actually pretty funny, but I think it's just a bug at the moment, and it's something that they're going to patch up real quick before the 1.0 actually goes live on the main servers. And last but not least, number 5, the Balistics overhaul. Now I'm going to just run down some key points from the patch notes themselves, and I'll try to decipher the best way that I can for you guys and explain what the changes are to the Balistics overhaul. All right? Projectiles fired from firearms are now affected by air drag. I'm assuming that that's because they've added in some more factors with physics and gravity, and they're trying to make it a little bit more realistic. To me, that just means that you're going to have to deal with more bullet drop. According to the patch notes, they've said that you're not going to feel a noticeable difference anything under 300 meters, but you're going to definitely see it for all the ARs and sniper rifles past 300 meters. So if you're hitting targets under 300 meters, it's not a noticeable change. But if it's over that, then it's definitely a noticeable change. Larger scopes like the 8x and the 15x have now variable zoom. That means that you can adjust the zoom with your mouse. I tried it out a few times, and let me tell you guys, you thought the 8x was good back then. It's a whole different ball game now. It's definitely a lot better, a lot more improved. You could zoom out for a 4x option or even zoom all the way into an 8x option. It's definitely a very, very good viable scope, and it's an all-purpose scope now, IMO. They've also added a smaller outer circle to the actual red dot on the ×8, which just makes it so much easier to get those nice, clean, quick scope headshots. Now you can do the same with the mouse wheel when it comes to the red dot, the hollow, and the 2x, and that'll actually increase the brightness, or it'll bring down the brightness of the actual scope, which is, I think it's a much needed add to the patch itself, because a lot of times when you were looking up at the sky, sometimes you would just not see your red dot at all. So right here you can actually up your brightness on the red dot, the hollow, and the 2x, or you can bring it down by using the mouse wheel. Now part of the Balistics overhaul is they've also changed some of the hitboxes. I'm talking about areas that initially did not have any protection, now have damage modifiers. I'm talking about the neck. It's now protected by the helmet. Also, basic damage to the chest area has been increased. You're also going to see some weapon modifiers along with armor, bullet travel time, all kinds of different modifiers that they've actually added into the patch. Here's how it's kind of broken down to us. The base damage is now modified by weapon class. So I'm assuming the weapon classes are SMG or pistol, SMG, sniper rifles, shotguns, and ARs. Base damage stats of the weapon is part of the modifier. Distance traveled by the projectile, hit area, and the damage modifier to the area that you're actually shooting in, and of course the weapon class modifier, which I talked about, either a sniper rifle or an assault rifle, maybe even an SMG. All that takes into account now, and all that matters, along with your armor mitigation bonus that you get based on the armor that you're wearing. And I'm assuming that, in other words, I think they're just trying to tell us that, hey, it's going to be a little bit harder to kill the same target that you were shooting at before. Maybe 1 or 2 more bullets more. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for all the patch notes. The big 1.0 PC patch, the November update. And on a side note, I just wanted to mention, guys, as far as the sound, they have done some tweaking to the sounds themselves. The airplane doesn't sound as loud anymore. In-game volume for voice chat doesn't sound as loud anymore either. Parachute sound has been reduced, and these bastards increased the sound of the rain. I'm 100% sure that they are either messing with me, or it's just I can't hear anything in rain anymore. It kind of reminds me of the old Arma days, but I really hope that they change it and turn it down just a little bit on the servers. And also, before I forget, I did want to mention something, a sort of a caveat that I had given out when I made my first initial beginner's guide to Battlegrounds, and that was about cheaters. And I told the devs, I sent them a clear message. I said, guys, if you want your game to flourish, you gotta come up with new and innovative ways to catch cheaters and to just crush them like the little cockroaches that they are. And now finally they've made a post saying that they're not only going to use BattlEye to protect us from hackers and cheaters, but they're also going to use their own anti-cheat systems to track abnormal behavior. And since they've implemented that service, they're saying that they've actually identified and banned 20,000 cheaters in one day. And I think that that's a step in the right direction. After all, the game has a bright future, because let's face it, they just signed on with Xbox as well, and we're gonna have cross-platform gaming soon enough. Well, that's it for this video. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of the big PC November November 1.0 patch. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I mean, what are your thoughts on the cross-platform? That'll be coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like. And don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications that you know every single week when there's a fresh video out there, you'll be the first to see it. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. Stay strong, and I'll see you